Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to share with you this video this week. In other videos, I've talked about the connection between minimalism and health. And in this video, I'd like to talk about minimalism from another angle, specifically the angle of screen time minimalism. And what I mean by that is how we engage with our computers, our phones, the World Wide Web, the internet. I'm currently making a dance piece which is all around healing depression through self-love. And I can share with you that in my personal past experience of severe depression, I felt at the heart of it a strong sense of disconnection. And oftentimes I would look to the screen, whether it was watching a lot of movies or looking at news articles, news pages, blog sites. I think I did all of that as a way subconsciously to connect. What's ironic is that when we actually spend too much time engaging with the screen, we actually feel more disconnection, not connection. There's been some great health studies done on what happens to us health-wise when we engage too much with the screen. There's a study showing that there's actual changes that occur to the gray and white matter of our brain when we engage too much with the internet, when we spend too much time looking at the screen. We have these different areas of our brain that are in constant connection with each other through white matter, we call white matter connective pathways. And these pathways are compromised when we spend too much time on the World Wide Web looking at the screen. These areas are vitally important to our health, and they include areas that are important for cognitive function. They include areas that are vital for decision making, that are important for emotional resilience. All these areas have problems connecting with each other. So basically, our emotional, our intellectual intelligence is deeply compromised when we are spending so much time with the screen. There's also been studies, more and more studies coming up that link too much internet time with metabolic syndrome, too much internet time with also dopamine levels. And dopamine, if you don't know, is linked to mood balances as well as impulse control. You may not need to even know or hear about all these studies because if you struggle with watching too much screen and you feel this sense of depletion rather than inspiration, you know exactly how you feel. Fatigued, on edge, antsy, after maybe watching sites or looking at pages that you thought were going to lift up your spirits and make you feel better. A lot of people think that the answer to this is just to get rid of the internet, or for you to no longer have a Facebook page, if you have one, or have any social media pages. And I think that that's one way of doing things, but I believe that the internet can be this amazing tool for connection, an amazing tool for inspiration, an amazing tool for knowledge. And yes, there's a lot of misinformation in with the information, but I think it's more about how we approach internet usage, screen time, that help make the difference between if you're feeling inspired versus feeling depleted, if you're feeling connected as opposed to feeling deeply disconnected. So today I have 7 tips for you that were really helpful for me, in which I share with some of my clients and patients who struggle with this, to help balance and minimize the amount of screen that you are engaging in to an amount that feels good for you, that supports your best health rather than sucks your energy, your time, and your health from you. Here are the 7 tips. Number 1 is to get really picky. Just as you get picky as a minimalist, possibly, with the quality of the clothes you wear or the quality of the food you eat, get picky about what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're exposing yourself to on the World Wide Web. These things greatly affect us, and we internalize much more than we realize. Are you exposing yourself to things that are negative stereotypes about who you are? Are you exposing yourself to images and content that nurture a limiting belief about yourself? I recommend taking a moment after watching a program or reading a news article, or reading a health article, to just sit with the material and see how you feel. And or when you go to an Instagram page or a YouTube channel, how do you feel afterwards? Check in with the aftertaste of this. And if you find that you're constantly not feeling great after watching these or engaging in this, consider deleting this channel. Consider no longer frequently engaging on this site. The second tip I would offer is this whole idea of the theory of one, or replacement, which I've talked about in past minimalism videos, and you can check that out in the link below. The theory of one, or replacement, is the idea that, for example, when I get myself a new shirt, I will let go of an old shirt. I let go of it with gratitude, but I let go of it so that I don't accumulate more and more and more stuff. And I want to extend this idea out to you if you're somebody who feels overwhelmed by the amount of blog sites or news sites or informational, educational sites that you're watching, definitely with the amount of maybe YouTube channels and Instagram pages that you're following. If you don't feel overwhelmed by that number and you feel great, wonderful. But if you do, I would suggest practicing this tip. And if you come across a new channel or a new page or a new educational blog site that you find to be absolutely one that you want to be looking at now much more regularly, I invite you to think about letting an old one go. Letting it go, that old channel, that old site, with gratitude, and maybe in the future you return to it at a more fitting time of your life. But keep the number of channels and pages and sites that you're frequenting to a number that feels supportive and doable and not overwhelming for you. The third tip I would offer is to schedule your screen time. And this might seem a little bit rigid or neurotic, but actually if you do this, if you're somebody who struggles with constantly looking at the screen, you might actually find yourself feeling the opposite of neurotic and actually quite freed up, as I did. A lot of us use Instagram, YouTube, social media, Facebook, etc. as a way to check out. It's the easy out, as a friend of mine says. And we can do that when we're waiting on a line. We do it when we are, even some of us do it when we are with our loved ones at dinner. I think it can, when you do it this way, really takes you away from the present moment. People also do it when they feel stressed and when they feel fatigued. And I think that's actually one of the worst times to be engaging in social media. I recommend scheduling in time, as opposed to cutting it out of your life totally if that doesn't feel good for you. Schedule in time daily if that feels good to you, twice a week or 3 times a week if that feels good to you. But carve out time where you know that's your time to get inspired and get connected, and you're in that frame of mind. And then outside of that time, just don't engage in it, and instead engage in your life, your actual life. This can be really helpful, and it can bring up a lot of emotions because you then realize how often you were using that possibly as an easy out. But it offers the opportunity to start dropping more into the present and being more in touch with your emotions. The fourth tip I would give is to not multitask, which can seem crazy. I love multitasking in other areas of my life sometimes, but in this area, in the area of engaging with the internet, engaging with the computer, I recommend doing one task at a time. So I'll give you an example. In the past, I'd be looking up an article for health and medicine, and in the meantime, I would be looking at the recommended other articles that the site gave for me to look at. For example, PubMed is one that I look at very often. YouTube is another great example. You can be watching a YouTube video, and on the side they'll give you recommended other videos. And I would literally be watching a video or reading an article and side-eyeing these other recommended articles and videos, and then starting to queue them up to watch next. So I wasn't present with what I was reading or watching. And that just nurtures a practice of mindlessness. And so I really invite you to actually focus on the task, on the certain article, the video at hand, and not multitask. The fifth tip I have is connected to the last one, which is just the consciousness you have while you are reading an article, watching a news vlog, being on an Instagram page. And that's to be embodied, meaning be aware of your breath, be aware of your posture. A lot of us lose that completely once we are looking at a YouTube video, on an Instagram page, reading a news article. Our neck juts out. We start slumping because we're so into this. The more you can keep a sense of centeredness and self while you are engaging, the healthier the activity is, and the more you actually have a sense of control as to how much you want to be engaging. So I deeply recommend embodied behavior, posture, while you are engaging with the internet. One trick I have is that anytime I'm internet browsing, I'm standing. Standing prevents me from standing for too long because it's hard for me to stand for very long. And so when I do that, I have basically this built-in break that I have to take, and I don't lose myself in a health article or a medicine article or Instagram pages after an hour. I will also link in the description down below an article I wrote on my Performing Healing website about the benefits of having a standing desk and how standing can be extremely helpful for your health. So check that out. The sixth tip I would offer comes from one of my favorite fellow doctors, Dr. Benjamin Spock, and he says this quote that I love: "Trust yourself, you know more than you think you do." And I love this quote. This was really helpful for me because the biggest chunk of time that I was spending with the internet was in information gathering. As a doctor, I'm constantly trying to keep my health knowledge abreast and up to date, but I can share with you that my training has put me in good stead for knowing what I need to know, and all of this is all the knowledge I'm getting, as important as it is. I don't need to overdo it. I don't need to overly look outward for this knowledge. A big part, an important part of what I do is also intuitive. So I wanted to share that with you, is remember, you really don't need that next video, that next article to become better, especially if you've already spent an hour reading and watching. The seventh and last tip I offer today is about rest. And that means taking an extended break from the computer to get grounded. Right now we're in beautiful Bali and we're in our garden, and getting my feet barefoot on the soil and the grass every day is extremely important and centering for me. And being in nature gives me incredible information that I cannot get from the internet. And so I just encourage you to spend more time with nature, spend more time with yourself. Ask yourself, your spirit, a question, and then close your eyes and get quiet. The answer again is there. So to recap the 7 tips for mindful, joyful, healthy screen time engagement, they are: number 1, get really picky about the material you are watching, reading, exposing yourself to. Number 2, if it feels good to you, practice the theory of one or replacement. Number 3 is to schedule in screen time. Number 4 is to not multitask. Number 5 is to practice embodied consciousness, focusing on your posture, your breath while you are engaging with the screen. Number 6 is to remember Dr. Spock's wisdom: trust yourself, you know more than you think that you do. Number 7, rest. One thing about rest I want to say is every week I practice what I call a tech Sabbath, and you can do this once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever feels good to you. But basically it's the day I spend away from the computer, away from the internet. I don't engage in email, Facebook, any social media. I do make an exception for Google Maps when we're out traveling, but that's about it. Do whatever feels good in that, but get the rest you deserve and need. I hope these tips have been really helpful for you. Hope it's not too noisy. I just really wanted to be out here and sharing with you. Like this video if you liked it. Share it with anyone you think might benefit. Subscribe for more weekly videos, and much love to you.